Is the world truly ready to hear this truth? Could Chris Martin's confession, the lead vocalist of Coldplay, about Kim Taehyung aka V of BTS change the way we see the bond between these legendary artists? And why did Jungkook, BTS's golden magne, break down in tears upon hearing that statement? In an unexpected moment, Chris Martin appeared in an exclusive interview that shocked the global music industry. Amid a warm discussion about cross-country collaborations and friendships among musicians, he suddenly mentioned Taehyung and revealed something that immediately froze the room. The audience, who initially watched casually, fell silent, then rushed to social media to write reactions. Did Chris Martin just say what we think he said? And why does Jungkook look so devastated after that? Chris, known for his warm personality, honesty, and dislike for drama, usually speaks calmly. But this time, his voice slightly trembled as he said, "There's something about Taehyung that breaks my heart. He carries something beautiful, but also incredibly heavy. I don't think the world knows the half of it." That statement caused a massive uproar among ARMYs who had long been questioning, what is really happening with Taehyung? Are all the silences, reflective attitudes, and shifts in expression over the past few months a signal of something deeper? Chris Martin, without being explicit, seemed to confirm that Taehyung is carrying a burden, something profound that may not even be known by those closest to him. Jungkook, who has always been Taehyung's closest companion, was reportedly made aware of the statement before the interview went public. In a now viral video on social media, he was seen sitting in the corner of the hybe practice room, covering his face with his hands, crying quietly. There was no sound, no words, just his body slowly shaking. Someone from the staff was heard whispering, "It's the Chris interview." Jungkook's reaction quickly drew massive attention, not just because he cried, but because he didn't try to hide it. As if everything he had been holding in finally exploded in that single moment. What exactly did Chris Martin mean? And how is it connected to Taehyung, to the point of triggering such a deep response from Jungkook? According to trusted sources in the international music industry, Chris and Taehyung had several private meetings that were not made public. These weren't merely about collaboration projects, but more as personal discussions, where two artists from different cultures shared life stories. It was in those moments that Taehyung is believed to have revealed the most personal and vulnerable side of himself, something even the other BTS members might never have known. Chris himself hinted during the interview that Taehyung carries tremendous emotional weight. "He hides it well," he said, "but sometimes, when you look into his eyes, you see oceans of pain, and I just hope he's okay." That line struck deep. He didn't disclose any details, but it was enough to leave millions of BTS fans in stunned silence. Taehyung has always been known for his smile, warmth, and humor. But Chris Martin's confession revealed another dimension, that behind that smile, there is an unspoken struggle. Meanwhile, Jungkook's reaction was not surprising to those who have followed his dynamic with Taehyung over the years. The two are known to be extremely close, not just as colleagues, but as soulmates. Jungkook often referred to Taehyung as the Hyung, who understood him without needing words. They frequently communicate through gestures only they could understand. However, over time, fans have also started to sense a subtle distance growing between them. Not because of conflict, but perhaps due to something that can't be explained directly. A few weeks before Chris Martin's statement, ARMY had begun to speculate about Taehyung's emotional state. He often posted black and white photos, melancholic quotes, and songs about loneliness and loss. In his most recent live broadcast, he said, "I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, but not everything can be shared." This made many fans wonder, was he on the verge of a big decision, or processing something painful? Now, with Chris Martin's confession, the puzzle pieces begin to fit. Celebrity psychology experts say that the pressure of being a global idol can create loneliness in the crowd. Taehyung, being sensitive and artistic, may be more vulnerable to this condition. He's not just a public figure, but an icon of hope for millions. Under such pressure, space to be just human becomes incredibly narrow. Jungkook, as someone who likely knows Taehyung's heart best, seems deeply affected by this burden. His tears weren't just over Chris's words, but perhaps also due to guilt, feeling he hadn't been present enough, hadn't understood enough, or hadn't protected someone he sees as his own brother. The public now waits to see if Taehyung will respond directly. But as of now, he hasn't made any official statement. He only posted a silhouette of himself facing a window with the caption, "Some things are meant to be felt, not spoken." Once again, a sentence that raises more questions than answers. Armies around the world responded with an overwhelming wave of support. They sent messages of love, shared artworks, wrote poetry, and created short videos capturing beautiful moments of Taehyung with BTS. All done with one purpose: to let him know he is not alone. Chris Martin also followed up with a statement on Instagram, clarifying that his words were not meant to stir up drama but were an expression of love and empathy for Taehyung. "I care about him as a human, not just an artist. And sometimes, all someone needs is to know that others see them, truly see them." Now, the question is no longer about what happened, but about what everyone will do next. Will BTS speak openly about the emotional condition of its members? Will the agency provide space for healing? And will Jungkook, who now seems so shaken, find a way to embrace Taehyung again and mend a bond that may be tested by time? Amidst the uncertainty, one thing remains clear. Chris Martin's honesty has opened a long-closed conversation about mental health, about unseen pressure, and about human love that transcends stages and spotlights. And for the first time in a long while, the world is beginning to realize that even a star as bright as Taehyung can experience darkness no one sees. Is this the start of healing? Or the beginning of a farewell slowly approaching? ARMY can only wait, hope, and continue to love. Because in a world that can be too harsh, the only remedy left is unconditional love. But behind all the panic, speculation, and exploding emotions from Chris Martin's statement and Jungkook's viral tears, clearer facts began to emerge. After in-depth tracing by various credible media, including clarification from trusted sources, it can be concluded that the news about the shocking revelation regarding Taehyung and Jungkook's emotional response was actually exaggerated, misinterpreted, and even manipulated by certain parties for the sake of virality. Chris Martin did mention Taehyung's name in his latest interview, but the actual context of his statement was far from the dramatic tone that was massively reported. In the complete and uncut version of the interview, Chris was talking about how happy he was to get to know BTS members personally, especially Taehyung, whom he described as artistic, calm, and profoundly thoughtful. The line, "He carries something beautiful, but also incredibly heavy," that became the center of uproar was actually part of a compliment about Taehyung's music, not referring to personal trauma or psychological burden as widely speculated. Not only that, Jungkook's tears linked directly to Chris Martin's statement actually happened in a very different context. The viral video that circulated widely was edited in such a way that it created a false narrative. The original video, which lasts more than 20 minutes, shows Jungkook singing an emotional old BTS song during a private rehearsal session. His tears were not because of Chris Martin's statement, but because the song brought back memories of BTS's early debut days and their decade-long journey. In fact, during a live session a few days after the viral video, Jungkook directly stated, "I was just emotional because that song brought back so many memories, not because something bad happened." HYB eventually released an official statement declaring that all BTS members, including Taehyung and Jungkook, are doing fine and are focused on future projects. The statement also emphasized that there are no changes in group formation, no departures, and no internal conflict as blown out of proportion by some irresponsible media. "We ask fans not to be influenced by unverified news," the agency wrote. Additionally, Taehyung himself returned to social media, sharing moments from his daily life and his solo music process. He even posted a photo with Jungkook captioned warmly, "Brothers, always." The post immediately reassured millions of fans who had previously been overshadowed by worry. Days later, in a short live broadcast, Taehyung jokingly addressed the circulating rumors. "You believe everything written on the internet? I'm fine. Jungkook too." That simple sentence was a strong statement that there was no major drama as sensationalized by the public. This reality shows how easily misinformation spreads in the digital era, especially when it involves global figures like BTS. A snippet of a sentence, a facial expression, or a specific moment can be twisted with just a little editing and then go viral as a shocking truth that triggers major public uproar. On one hand, it shows the depth of love and attention fans have for their idols. On the other, it reveals the danger when emotion overrides fact-checking. More importantly, this event reminds us that all BTS members, including Taehyung and Jungkook, are ordinary human beings with emotions, private lives, and the right to process without constantly being framed in dramatic narratives. Their friendship isn't a perfect fairy tale, but neither is it a tragic heartbreak story. They are artists, brothers, and comrades who have gone through so much together. And to this day, they continue to support, love, and respect each other. As fans, we have a responsibility not to immediately believe every viral headline, especially those lacking credible confirmation. We must learn to be mature, critical, and wise armies in facing misleading situations. Because true love is not just about celebrating victories, but also about protecting our idols from unfair pressure. In conclusion, the news about Chris Martin leaking a huge secret about Taehyung and Jungkook's heartbreaking tears is a rushed and inaccurate conclusion. The full facts clearly show that there is no tragic event unfolding, no farewell, and no deep regret afflicting BTS. This was all a misunderstanding caused by cleverly twisted snippets. Taehyung is still with BTS. Jungkook still supports his friend. And Chris Martin? He simply wanted to express his admiration for two young South Korean artists who changed the face of the global music industry. Now, our task as fans is to stop believing illusions and start appreciating the reality, which is far more beautiful. BTS remains united, strong, and walking forward together.